Hello everyone. In this video, we'll talk about how you wanna maximize your con score in the CAT 2024 paper, right? So it's obvious. These are the topics that are in CAT syllabus. You have arithmetic, you have algebra, you have geometry, then you have number system, and at last you have modern maths that includes probability and PMC, right? And questions from this four topics, right? Like last year, there was no question from modern maths, like probability and PNC. Before that, there was some question from, I guess, from PNC, but probability again, there was no question, right? Arithmetic, algebra, geometry, every time there are around, three questions uh, in CAT paper. Then again, from number system, will be having to range from two to three. Other are distributed in algebra and arithmetic. This may arithmetic के questions will be more right now. Arithmetic have various topic from starting from percentage to time and work rate. Now, obviously, during this paper, you'll be having 22 question, right? 1 to 22, right? So the first thing what you should do before starting the paper, I have attempted a live mock as well. If you go down, you'll see there was a live mock which I attempted. You can watch it out for the quants part, right? My strategy is always like this for, let's suppose there are 1 to 22 question and there are some topics from arithmetic and algebra in which I'm very confident. Like I know that whatever question will come from this particular chapter, I'll be able to solve that because I have practiced a lot of questions from this XYZ chapter, right? Now, first thing you should keep in your mind, you should not start from first question or second in this sequence manner. Okay, I'll do first, I'll do second, I'll do three and all, right? Never do that. The reason behind telling that, because sometimes what usually happen is starting ke one, two, three question might be tough, right? So if you are not able to solve any one or two question in the starting itself, right, your confidence will go down. Again, here all game becomes on the momentum and the speed. Momentum, what I'm trying to tell ki, momentum of confidence. For example, you started solving one sum, then second sum, third sum, and all you're getting answers of all of them, right? So you should not go with this particular strategy ki I'll start from one, two, three until unless you are very confident in cons, you have scored in what we say marks continuously 54 55 marks, you are able to do 17 18 question in the marks that were correct, right? Then you can start from first, right? But you are not this particular people, your number of attempt lie between 10 to 15, right? So you should do one thing in the first go through 1 to 22 question, right? Just go through it from above, right? For example, just to know which chapter they have asked and what type of question they have asked, right? So first, whatever the topic you are very confident, you mark the question from that, right? Just mark up that particular question. Right, let's suppose you are good in profit loss. You are good with, let's suppose TSD. You are good with algebra, right? So first mark up this particular question, right? After marking up, then start solving it out, right? For example, let's suppose you have marked third question, right? You have marked seventh question. So first you solve this one out, right? In the first go, right? This you should try to do from 22 to 22 minutes, right? Because hardly it would be, say 8 to 9 question from the topic what you know, right? Or if it is more, so obviously you can even range it from 25 to what we say 30 minutes, right? In which you have marked 12 to 13 question, right? Now, one thing you should keep in your mind key, you can expect, you can expect you can expect tough question from any of the topic what you know. Let's suppose last year if you look at the paper, right? The question from algebra, especially algebra, right? They were lengthy. Fine. What happened last year? People, who went with this particular mindset, ki bhai, I'll be able to solve 15 to 16 questions, right? When they started solving the paper and they started, let's suppose they started with algebra because they think algebra is quite easier to do, right? It was very time consuming. They were not able to do this particular question in this particular time period, right? They were not getting the answers, right? So that's what created a panic among them. And this is one situation, this will create a panic among you. Ki bhai, I'm not able to get the answers. So obviously, what would happen? Ki after that, your confidence will go down. For that reason, what you should do, see, let's suppose you marked 1 to 12 question, right? In the first step, I'm telling about, right? No need to solve each and every question, right? For example, let's suppose there is a third question, right? You read the question, right? Fine, and you have practiced a lot from this, so you'll get to know ki how much time this question will consume. See, I'm not telling that okay, this question cannot be solved by you, right? Just my I'm putting point ki at this particular point you should not waste more than 3 to 4 minutes in on any question, right? Because 40 minutes you have, right? Even if I'm considering you are solving 10 questions, right? 10 to 12 questions, right? So every question will need at least 40 में से आपका starting का जो 2-3 minutes will go, right? That will go around 37 minutes. You'll be having, right? So every question will be having around 10 questions if I'm considering the 3 point something, right? So if you are exceeding more than 4 minutes, fine. So even if we are targeting for the 10 question, this will reduce, and there is no confident, there is no surety that whatever the question you have picked that is consuming a lot of time, right? You'll be getting the right answer for that, right? And if time will go on, and see, in starting what usually happens, the starting 20 minutes, this is important for every section, whether you talk about the VRC, you talk about the DLR, you talk about the quant rate. Because in 20 minutes, if you have solved a good amount of questions, right? Let's suppose you have solved 7 to 8 question or 6 to 7 question, right? So you will be confident enough that in next 20 minutes, you'll be performing like anything, right? But in starting, whatever the question you picked up and you are in this 20 minutes, you are just able to solve 2 to 3 questions, right? That also you are not confident enough, right? So this would happen in the next 20 minutes, your performance will go down. So it's always better कि whatever the question you have selected in the first go, right? If you are able to understand that by this particular XYZ question we're gonna take some time, because this is a trap what the uh, paper setter setup, right? What they will do, they will put some question from XYZ chapter tough. See, when I say tough, it's not about you don't know the approach, it's about the lengthiness of the question, right? Lengthiness means it will consume a lot of time of yours, right? For fine, and due to this, your number of question what you'll be attempting that would be less. Fine. So this would be the first thing. Next, like this would be done. For example, you marked up. Let's suppose you marked up out of 22, you marked 10 to 12 question, right? Now still you have 10 question left, right? Out of this 10 question, you were able to do, let's suppose, 7 to 8 question in 25 minutes, right? Now you have 15 minutes, right? And you have some questions left here, right? See, for example, let's suppose I'm not good with geometry. Fine. But what you sometimes happen, if you look at the CAT paper from the past year as well, right? What you're gonna find key question from geometry are not very tough what you have solved in mocks or what you have solved in the practice set, right? Sometimes they keep it very easy, or I would say very direct, right? In that particular case, even if you know the basics, you'll be able to solve it out, right? For example, I suppose you are not good with logarithm, right? So sometimes the question from logarithm is also easy. That's gonna just consume your 2.5 minutes in that, right? So what you need to do, this 10 question, right? Just go through it once, read the question once, right? For example, logarithm, geometry, in which you know the basic formula. Fine, right? What I mean to say that, let's suppose there's a question from PNC, right? And you have not practiced well. Even you don't know the basics between permutation and combination. You don't know when to use NPR, when to use NCR and all, right? So in that particular case, you should not even go through that question, right? But for example, number system की भी हम बात कर लेते हैं, right? Let's suppose number system की question many times that are quite easier, many times it is difficult, right? Now coming to this particular case, in this particular 15 minutes, what I'm trying to tell you, out of this 10 questions, there will be topic, what you have left. There is case की question from that topic might be easy, right? So in this 15 minutes, you can, let's suppose 10 minutes you are utilizing to go through the question from this one, right? For example, let's suppose 5 to 6 question, right? Fine. You did in this one, right? In this particular 10 to 15, you did 5 to 6 questions from the topic, what you are not, in which you are not confident enough, right? Fine. Still, you have 5 minutes left, so you can come back to the question from this particular topic, what you have solved and you have left, right? See, while solving any question, fine in the sheet, right? Don't just, scatter it out, right? Don't solve it anywhere, right? Proper mark the sequence up. For example, let's suppose this is your rough sheet, right? Fine, fine. And you have started question number 8 here, right? So once you're solving this question, now, if you are thinking to leave it out, right? Just draw a line like this or something like that, then leave it out. Because what happened now that if you have time left, you can come back to the question, you can try to solve it again, right? One more thing you should keep in mind, it might happen in the paper, ki like let's suppose you have went through DLR and you have not performed well in DLR, right? So what will happen in quants, your confidence will be down. The topic what you have studied, it would be difficult for you to even solve the question from that topic what you are confident of or what you have practiced a lot, right? You can expect anything in the paper. Right, so you need to first be confident. Second thing to keep in your mind कि भाई मेरा target जो है, I should first perform, try to solve the questions from the topic what I know very well. I'm not telling you will be able to solve 100% question from that, right? But at least 70 to 80% of question you need to solve from the topic what you know. Rest 20 minutes, the topic what you have left from that, even if you are able to solve around 30 to 40% from that, fine, even 50%, half of from that, right? So you have attempted a good amount of question in that particular period of time. Fine. So this should be in your mind कि fine ठीक है ये मेरे को करना है. Right, I need to go with this particular strategy and whatever strategy you have prepared for, and if it is working for you, right? For example, for some people they have a good speed in solving the question. So what they do, even if the question is tough, they try to solve it out, right? One more thing you should keep in your mind, that is ego. Right. What I have seen it out with many students in my batch as well, because of that, their number of attempts just keep revolving around 10 to 11, right? What usually happens, let's suppose they know TSD well, right? And there's a question from TSD in this particular mock, right? What they're gonna do, they're gonna waste time on this particular TSD, taking this on ego, कि भाई मेरे को तो ये topic आता है, I know this topic well, so I have to solve this question, right? In this particular ego, they consume around 7 to 8 minutes or sometime even more than that, right? 5 to 6 minutes or sometimes even more than that I'm considering, right? So obviously the number of attempts will reduce. So after the paper, when they analyze the paper, they get to know कि भाई यार इसके question was easy, I would have done more question number of questions. This is one of the reason कि जब भी आप quants का paper analyze करते हो, for example, if you have attempted any quant mock and you are just able to solve around 10 to 11 question in the mock, right? I was considering a point. But when you analyze after the paper, right, what you get to know कि भाई at least 15 to 16 questions were doable, but I was only able to do 10 to 11 questions, right? This was due to one reason. Either it was your ego in which you pick up the question that was lengthy, the trap that the पेपर सेटर set it up for you कि भाई ठीक है मैंने एक ट्रैप सेट कर दिया है and you got stuck in that. See, have thing in your mind कि every question carry equal marks. Right. Even if you're solving a tough question, you'll be getting just 3 marks. There will be no bonus marks for it. Ki bhai, this guy has solved the toughest question from this particular paper. So we'll be awarding him 4 to 5 marks. You'll be getting equal mark for that particular question. Here, what matters is number of question what you are attempting. Right. Fine. Wow. Wow. One more thing, people do mistakes, that is they call it as silly errors. What are silly errors? First thing, calculation mistake. That would happen from anyone, right? For example, if you're writing 2 plus 3, sometimes you add it up as six, right? This is the silly mistakes what people do. Second, not reading the question properly, what they have been asked. See, sometimes what happened, they have asked the value of x plus y, right? We just find the value of x and in the option, you'll find this particular value of x as well, right? So we ticked it out in hurry, right? Right. First thing, read the question calmly, right? And understand what they are asking. See, obviously, you'll lose concentration in between depending on the situation, right? But you need to concentrate on the question. Then only you'll be able to solve it. Fine, you need to calm yourself up. You should not be panicking. In panicking, what's gonna happen? You will do silly mistakes. Even that particular question कि that would have been done in 2 to 3 minutes, right? आप उसमें 4 5 मिनट भी वेस्ट कर दोगे तो आपसे क्वेश्चन नहीं होगा. So you should not panic, right? Fine. The third and foremost thing, don't do any experiment कि भाई I'll do one thing, मैं तुक्के तुक्के मार रहा हूँ, like I'll take wild guesses, right? Fine, I'll take wild guesses because what I feel out कि भाई I have to attempt maximum number of question even in theta question. For example, some people do this thing out, right? जो theta में wild guess लेते हैं, ठीक है? Now for me, right, like I can take a wild guess for me because this particular cat paper, it does not playing any role in my marks and all, right? Because I know I can take any risk whatever it's wanted, right? Fine. But for you, if you are XYZ theta question, even if you are reading, right, for example, let's suppose, and you took a wild guess, right? So getting it correct, it is probability for that is in quants I'm talking about, right? It is less than 60%. Fine. Plus the time what you wasted in reading that particular question, that is a different thing. Huh? For example, let's suppose you have tried all the particular question. When you have to do this thing out at end, you know you whatever the question you would have tried, you have tried it out. For example, let's suppose you are done with 15 plus question, right? 14 to 15 question you have attempted, right? Now you have time left with you around 5 to 6 minutes. So in that particular question, you can go through a theta and you can, try to take a wild guess in that, right? Now, first thing, don't do any silly array calculation. Second thing, read the question properly, what they have asked, and then you proceed with this particular thing. भाई इन्होंने ये पूछा है. Now we need to solve this particular thing and we need to find out the answer. Then mark it out properly. Fine. Don't lose your concentration during this particular thing. Fine. Now, in quants, the common mistakes is usually in algebra, right? Fine. What is that? The common mistake is, like there will be many questions in which you'll be getting a lot of values. For example, I suppose even if I talk about log a by b, right? Fine. There's a case for a and b, right? A has to be greater than zero. A has to be greater than, log one is zero. Log one is zero, right? B has to be greater than, right? So we are solving it out and we are getting a value of a something. Fine. Fine. And that is something negative, right? So obviously, if they have asked number of values, so you're gonna count it as well, right? But you need to understand if this particular answer is not satisfying this condition, right? So you need to reject it out. So you need to keep in your mind, in especially in algebra, I'm talking about, even if you have modulus question or logarithm, sometimes in function as well, because usually what they do now, they're gonna tell you to find the number of values in that. They won't ask you what will be the answer, right? They tell you the number of values, right? In this particular question, when they are asking number of values, right? Either what we do, we don't do the cross check of it, right? Because there is some other condition also that this answer has to satisfy, right? And what we do, okay, bhai, हमारा answer आ गया, let's solve it out. Second thing, in some question we need to assume. For example, you would have seen it out, for example, x to the power 4, x to the power 6. तो इसमें अपन assume करके इसको a square or something like that, we keep it as, right? So you remember what you have taken, because whatever the answer you'll be getting for a. They have asked you x. Fine. So this what is the common mistakes in algebra. Whatever answer you are getting in which they have asked you the number of values, before writing your answer, just take a look to the question by कोई और condition तो नहीं है ना, or whatever the question you are solving उसमें कुछ और condition तो नहीं है ना, right? You should keep that in your mind, right? ठीक है. और वही चीज होती है जैसे greater than equal to वाला भी केस होता है. ठीक है, क्वालिटी के क्वेश्चन में. फाइन. कि we have two cases, real and non-real roots, right? तो फॉर रियल रूट इट इज ग्रेटर एंड इक्वल टू जीरो, राइट? अब रियल रूट का अलग, रियल रूट में दो चीजें आ जाती है, क्या आता है आपका इक्वल एंड डिस्टिंक्ट, बट फॉर रियल रूट इट इज ऑलवेज ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू जीरो, राइट? So you should keep this particular thing in your mind. Fine. कि whatever, whenever you are solving any question, if it's greater than zero, you need to solve for greater than zero only. Fine. Even in inequality, we write the bracket, right? Fine. There are two type of bracket you know very well. In this particular bracket, we do not include A and B, right? We have to just include the values between A and B. Similarly, here, whatever the value I'm getting A and B, so we just have to include A and B as well, right? Fine. So this would be the thing. You should avoid the silly mistake. You should do the cross checking of the questions, whatever you're solving it out, right? And third and foremost, obviously, confident, right? See, people will come up, they're gonna tell you up, कि यार भाई, मतलब इस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन में इसको ऐसे कर सकते हैं, इस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन में ये ट्रिक यूज कर सकते हैं, इस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन में एक्सवाइजेड ट्रिक यूज कर सकते हैं भाई. My point is in that 40 minutes, na, right? You cannot use any trick or you cannot take any risk at all, right? Because what usually happen even after the solving the paper, right? Right. For example, after the CAT, even if I go through the question once, right? तो मेरे को वहाँ ट्रिक समझ में आता है, अच्छा इसको ऐसे डायरेक्टली कर सकते थे, अच्छा इसको ऐसे कर सकते थे, right? So that is the easy way to make you understand भाई इसको I can do it out in this particular manner as well, right? But during the paper, don't use any new thing, right? Don't go for this shortcut and all in cat पर मोस्टली कुछ पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन में शॉर्टकट अप्लीकेबल होते हैं, बट दैट डजंट मीन यू शुड अप्लाई इट इन ऑल द क्वेश्चन, राइट? फाइन. This should you should keep in your mind. Fine. And last and the foremost thing what I need to say, keep try to maximize number of attempts, right? Maximize number of attempt, maximize your marks through this only, right? Avoid silly error, and yes, people even talk about the use of calculator, right? Fine. कैलकुलेटर यूजुअली देखो अलजेब्रा में तो बेसिकली इट इज नॉट यूज मच. अर्थमेटिक में थोड़ा ज्यादा यूज होता है, ठीक है? अर्थमेटिक में हो गया, पीएनसी में हो गया, नंबर सिस्टम में भी इट इज यूज मोस्ट ऑफ टाइम, राइट? कैलकुलेशन बेस में, फॉर एग्जांपल there's a big calculation you need to add up 3273 plus something 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 like that divided by 15 divided by 16 something like that, right? Fine. See, if you are a good what I mean to say that you can calculate it fastly, right? You can add it up fastly. You can do it on the paper itself. Then you can do, right? Don't use calculator, right? But you feel like भाई मेरे को टाइम लगेगा, मेरे से कुछ सिली एरर हो जाता है, आप कैलकुलेटर यूज करें बिकॉज जो इनका कैलकुलेटर होता है कैट वाला, राइट, उसमें अगर आपको दो नंबर को ऐड भी करना है, राइट, बड़े बड़े नंबर को, राइट, फॉर ऑब्वियसली फर्स्ट थिंग you have to click with the mouse, right? Second thing, this is not a calculator in which you can go back and you can check what answer it would have come, right? For example, जो मैं सनी वैल्यू कुछ गलत टाइप कर दिया तो पूरा डिलीट करना पड़ेगा. There are many things you need to keep in your mind, right? So if you are the one you are doing silly mistakes in the addition or something like that, so you can use the calculator. If you are not a very you cannot calculate very fast, you are not good at adding up the terms, dividing terms and all, good at it means बड़े नंबर को आपको टाइम कंज्यूम हो जाता है, तो आप वहां पे कैलकुलेटर यूज कर लेना, ठीक है, कि भाई ठीक है, आई नीड टू यूज द कैलकुलेटर फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग. एंड फॉर एग्जाम्पल whatever you are adding it up, for example जैसे I have to find the average of five numbers and the numbers are too big, so I will divide it by five, right? तो आप जब नंबर को ऐड कर रहे हो, ठीक है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, राइट, और प्लस समथिंग यहाँ पे भी लिखा हुआ है, तो वट एवर यू आर गेटिंग द आंसर उसको अपने पेपर पे लिख लेना. फॉर एग्जाम्पल वंस यू ऐड, यू राइट इट आउट ऑन द पेपर, देन यू ट्राई टू डिवाइड इट आउट इन दैट पर्टिकुलर मैनर, राइट. This is all about the quants, right? So you should be calm enough, right? And obviously, until unless the paper is not out for the all the three slots, like we cannot have this criteria कि what gonna happen in the first slot, second slot, third slot, right? कि भाई पहला स्लॉट जो बच्चे दे के आ रहे हैं, राइट, फॉर एग्जाम्पल व्हाट यूजुअली पीपल डू कि भाई दे ट्राई टू आस्क देम कि भाई तुमसे कितना हुआ, क्या हुआ, एंड दे गो विद दिस मेंटालिटी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल वी डोंट नो व्हाट गोना हैपन इन योर स्लॉट, राइट, what type of question is in your slot, right? No one can judge it out, no one, right? Because obviously the one who have written the paper, right, how he can tell about your slot, right, and what he have done, it is not like what you have done, but what it will create a mentality कि भाई XYZ people have told, in this quant, there are 10 to 11 questions that are very, very tough. In this, from logarithm, that question was tough and all, they would have told you, right? So what would happen? कि भाई आप उसी मेंटेलिटी से कैरी फॉरवर्ड करोगे पेपर में, राइट. अगर वो नहीं हुआ, राइट, सो ऑब्वियसली अगेन इट विल हैम्पर योर कॉन्फिडेंस समवेयर, राइट. So try to avoid all these things, right? बाकी तो ठीक है, बाकी तो you can do well. Fine. Try to maximize your number of attempt, and that what I have said. Ki first, go through all the question, mark up the question from the topic you are confident enough. Out of that, solve the particular question that is, very easily solvable. The one which is consuming a lot of time. Come back at the end after going through the rest of the question. In the rest of the question, also you just go through that particular question in which you have studied the topic, but not in depth. You have studied the topic. But sometimes what happens, the questions are way too direct. So in that particular case, you can solve it out and you can maximize your number of attempts in that, right? This all is there, right? Fine. And yes, in CAT, they follow a proper blueprint, not like the mock, in which, they keep it out in a sequence of any number of questions in any form. Sometimes they will keep a lot of number system, a lot of geometry. No, no, no. There's a proper blueprint that CAT follows up. You will be having more weightage to arithmetic, algebra, ज्योमेट्री, राइट. नंबर सिस्टम का भी थोड़ा कम ही रहता है, बट ज्योमेट्री का ज्यादा रहता है. अगर आप नंबर सिस्टम करो तो आप ज्योमेट्री को अवॉइड कर सकते हो, राइट. And if you have studied all the topics, you can go through all these things. But your criteria should be कि भाई I should do that topic first, which I am very confident enough. Fine. This is all about this particular thing. All the best for the CAT 2024, and hopefully all of you who all are watching the video, you score well in this particular CAT, right? This is all about this particular thing.